We're not going to talk about this. So we had a laundry list of things to talk about today. We had a laundry list of things to talk about today, BC. BC, really quickly, do you have the meeting notes pulled up? I'm gonna have you steer the ship on the stuff.
I do. The only thing, there's really not a lot of news. We're going to spend most of the day talking about Thor: Love and Thunder. But before we got into it, I did want to start off the show by, R.I.P. Polly Walnuts, man.
Yeah, man. I heard the news, and you know what was so crazy? Because we were just talking about The Offer last week,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, I have been telling all of my friends to watch The Offer. Then, of course, I started talking to them about Michael Franzese and all that stuff. This was happening on Thursday. Thursday, I guess I was on the phone with my buddy, and I'm like, yo, you guys need to watch The Offer. I went back and rewatched The Godfather, and we were talking about how great Godfather was. And then later on, as soon as we got off that phone call, James Caan passed away. And then the very
Yep.
next day, we lost Tony, right? And it was weird. It was just, well, one, he lived to be 82 years of age, right? 82 years young, I believe is what they said.
Yeah.
And and he lived a full life. It was just weird to know that, like, man, I'm just going back. You know, when you talk about somebody, then all of a sudden it's just like, man, we just talked about them, but it was two people. It
Yeah.
was literally two people back to back, and in the same genre of films. I mean, the same. They're in the same linchpin, right? They're in the same
Yeah.
thing. It was weird. How do you feel about it?
It sucks, man. It's really disappointing because I always have this hope that someday they're going to go, hey, we need to do something with the Sopranos IP, and we were maybe going to see we wouldn't see Tony obviously, but we could see Paulie back. You know, it would have been good. I ever since the Super Bowl commercial for that had Meadow Soprano and Anthony Jr., whoever played the brother.
Oh, I can't.
I can't remember his
I can't
name, but
remember.
yeah, the brother. They had this Ford commercial or something where they were meeting up together for lunch. I was like, man, I would love to see where they are in their lives now, and maybe Uncle Polly's a part of it. That'd be really cool to see. But it does suck that old Polly Walnuts ain't gonna make it. He was my favorite character on the show.
No,
So
he was awesome, and I'm really glad that you brought that up because I wanted to open that up with that, but I did forget it was a long weekend. So yes, rest in peace to Mr. Walnuts. Rest in peace, man. Fantastic career. We're gonna miss you, buddy. Sopranos is when we were talking about it. We were talking about The Sopranos is for HBO being the golden standard. The Sopranos is right there neck and neck with The Wire on which is the best one in my opinion, which is the best of the HBO shows. So, and he
yeah.
definitely contributed to that. So rest in peace indeed. Anything else on the docket?
Yeah, two more quick things. I want to start off with Tessa Thompson recently was quoted talking about working with Michael B. Jordan on Creed 3 and how he's doing both directing and starring in the film. She was quoted in saying, and this comes from uh, looks like comes from Collider, I believe.
Okay.
And she was quoted in saying it was so interesting because I wondered what it would be like for Mike to have to be a scene partner and a director. But when we were doing the scene work, he felt entirely in it. We got back into those character dynamics very easily. The only thing that was different was the time. We do the scene and then he would have to go to the monitor sometimes to watch. So that felt a little different, but dynamically we were just in the pocket of what we've been doing. And I typically do not work with the writers, which has been a great process thus far. But this time around, I could do that work more actively with Mike. I also had a lot more freedom to improvise on the day than the past ones. He gave me a lot of license to do that, so that felt different, but it didn't change the dynamic between these two characters. Uh, so that's really interesting to hear that, his first directing job, he's also like the main star, but it's good to hear they're working well together on this. But what pops out about this to me is this the first announcement, news, anything we've heard on Creed 3 in a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be coming out later this year. So it makes me think, I wonder if they're going to show up to Comic-Con and give us the trailer.
I didn't even think about that, but a trailer should be coming soon. Are they even announced to be at Comic-Con?
No, I have no idea if they are or not.
I don't know if Rocky in the Creed franchise is a Comic-Con thing, but I would definitely assume that a trailer's coming out. Now, we were talking about this before. The only thing that I saw about this movie was the pictures of Jonathan Majors, where he's looking jacked, looking absolutely jacked, and he's taking on the antagonist in this movie. I'm excited for this movie, regardless, and it's good to hear that too, because you always want to see people try new things, and Michael B. Jordan is a talented young man, and to see that he's getting behind the camera, who knows? We could be looking at another John Krasinski in the making.
Very true.
You never know what you're going to get when these actors go behind the scenes.
Well,
he loves this.
Okay, so this is being produced by MGM, Warner Brothers, and New Line. So Warner Brothers does have a presence at Comic-Con, so you never know.
You never know. I wouldn't be surprised. Comic-Con is in less than 30 days, right?
Mm-hmm. Bad news is we officially won't be there. I haven't actually told you that, but yeah, didn't get into the press, so okay. We're still working. Maybe next year.
Yeah, there's always room for next year, man, and that's okay. That's okay. We'll be there when we need to be there.
Exactly.
We'll be there when the stars are aligned for us to be there. But regardless, I'm still excited to hear, and it's really good to hear Tessa Thompson having those comments, because I know that there's always that dynamic shift, especially when the first director. Well, you had Ryan Coogler with the first one. The second one, they also had a different director. I can't remember who the young guy who did it was. I believe he was a newer director as well. And I liked Creed 2. I don't believe Creed 2 was as good as the first Creed. The first Creed was phenomenal.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Creed 2 was directed by Stephen Caple Jr.
Okay.
I agree. Creed 2 is definitely not as good as the first one. They kind of doubled down on the things I did not like about the first film. I would have preferred them to focus more on Creed and Drago and less on Tessa Thompson's character.
Yeah, that whole storyline, it does get in the midst of what I don't like about Creed, because I kind of want to just focus more on the boxing aspect of it. But I get it too. They're trying to do the Star Wars poetic rhyme, right?
Yeah.
With Adrian and Rocky, and I can't remember Tessa's character's name.
Neither do I.
And I love this franchise, but I just remember her as the girl with the hearing aid. But
yeah, and that's what's weird is I don't like her in Creed. I don't like the character in Creed.
Yeah,
but
I love Tessa Thompson.
But that's what's weird is because I'm sitting there watching, and we're going to get into it here in a little bit. I'm watching Thor, and I'm like, she is so underutilized.
So
we need more of Tessa Thompson. But in Creed, I'm like, please, less of Tessa Thompson.
You're right, because I even liked her in that Men in Black International.
Yes.
I like her in Westworld. I love her in Thor. And I know she gets a lot of hate for her character in Thor for Valkyrie, but I don't get it. I
Does she?
Valkyrie.
Why?
Toxic masculinity.
Oh,
okay. Those kinds of guys. Not our crowd, but I like her character, and I really did enjoy her character a lot more in this movie. And you're right, we're gonna get into a little bit. That's exciting to hear. Good to hear that they're still. It's still a thing, because you're right. It's been so long since we heard any news on this new Creed movie. But if we don't get a Creed trailer at Comic-Con, we're going to be getting it maybe sooner.
Yeah, we have to get it. We have to get it at some time.
Maybe sooner.
Soon, because it's supposed to be out in November, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to come out in November.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the Creed news for today. How do you guys feel about that?
Before we jump into Thor, I got one more for you too. So go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, how do you guys feel about hearing this news about Creed? Have you guys been waiting on Creed? I am. Rocky's my favorite movie of all time. It's the greatest movie of all time. It's the greatest love story of all time.
You mean between Rocky and the Belt?
Rocky and Apollo.
Oh, Rocky and Apollo. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was
Rocky and
like,
Apollo.
I rewatch Rocky a lot.
I love that movie.
And I can't help, though. I do. I love it. And I know it's a product of its time, but I can't help but watch it and go, God, this is so rapey.
No, I don't buy that.
It's so uncomfortable.
I don't buy that. That was an awkward man who was pushing up on an awkward woman, and that's what you get.
I know, but
that's what you get.
It's awkward.
No,
you can't. You have to admit it comes off a little weird.
You know what?
Looking at it now,
to me, he just had perseverance. He persevered. You know, back in my day, you had to fight for your woman. You know, you had to wear them down until they eventually just give up.
Bruh.
That's. I'm joking.
All right, hey, all right. Hey, it's okay. I've been canceled. You can come join the squad. It's fine.
First of all, hey, we are still Gucciverse, but we are uncancelable forever, dog. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. That's awesome. What's next?
All right, so I just sent you a message on Facebook Messenger, so you could check it out and maybe put this in on an overflow and post or something. But major news coming out of the Rock camp. Major news. Sounds like the Rock will be the master of ceremonies this year for Shark Week.
Hell yeah,
he just posted the video.
What? Hey, that's awesome, bro. He's I didn't even know we had a master of ceremonies for Shark Week.
If I'm not mistaken, it was like Ronda Rousey last year.
Oh.
So this year, starting on July 24th, The Rock will be your Shark Week host. And if you didn't have a reason to watch Shark Week before, you do now. Because I love me some sharks. 2, I love me The Rock. So let's do it.
If he's not dressed up as Maui.
Big left shark.
Oh, I was going to say Maui.
That's even better.
I will be very disappointed. No, that's awesome. Something totally left field. I'm definitely here for it. I haven't watched Shark Week in about 10 years.
I watch it every year. I fall asleep at night watching Shark Week.
Is that good? Is that entertaining?
It's just I love sharks. I love underwater. It's just I love it. It entertains me.
Is a shark your spirit animal?
Probably. Oh. See, but it's not just that. I love octopus and squids and whales.
I wouldn't go anywhere near an octopus after watching.
No. You're right. No, I wouldn't. Listen, I wouldn't go anywhere near these animals. All right, I'm not that crazy white person that gets in the water and draws blood. It's like, oh, look at the sharkies. No, yeah. I would look. I just went to Vegas last week, and I stayed at the Golden Nugget. And in the Golden Nugget, in their pool, they have a shark tank. And I sat up against that glass, just staring at sharks for hours.
What is your favorite shark movie besides Jaws?
Besides Jaws, Deep Blue Sea.
Okay. My head is like a shark fin. Hey, man. Deep Blue Sea is the best.
Blue Sea, dude, just that for the scene with Samuel Jackson getting got alone.
Double Toasted did a bad movie review for Deep Blue Sea. I highly recommend it. It's so funny. They talk so much shit about that parrot. About that bird.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
About LL Cool J's bird.
LL Cool J's bird.
That bird wasn't... I forgot how much of an asshole that bird was.
Yep.
That bird was a dick. But I love Deep Blue Sea. What else? I love Bruce from Finding Nemo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Actually,
I was real big into The Shallow with
That's the song
Blake
that Lady Gaga
Lively.
sings.
No.
Shallow.
Yeah, that is the song, but it's also a movie where Blake Lively is stuck on a rock,
The
and
Rock.
there's this shark swimming around, waiting on her to try and get off the rock.
Now I want to see Blake Lively on the Rock's shoulders while he has two sharks pulling him through the water.
Facts.
That's how you open up Shark Week.
And
Master of Ceremonies.
Ryan Reynolds just standing in the background. Okay.
Ryan Reynolds can do color commentary with The Rock. Do you remember how Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg did the Olympics?
Yes.
Can we get The Rock and Ryan Reynolds hosting Shark Week together?
I kind of want to get The Rock and Kevin Hart to host Shark Week together.
Okay, you could throw Ryan Reynolds in that too.
Yeah, I just saw this a TikTok where the interviewer was asking The Rock. She's like, "Okay, so Karen Gillian is from Jumanji, and the Karen Gillian is Nebula. You're about to be Black Adam. Who is Kevin Hart? Like, who's his superhero?" And Kevin Hart starts to talk, and The Rock goes, "Honky Pete."
Oh, wait, what? Honky Pete?
And Kevin just can't stop laughing. He can't say anything. And Rock's like, yeah. Black Adam and Honky Pete. That's going to be the sequel to Black Adam. Can't wait to see it. This right here is Honky Pete.
The Rock is so good at he's so quick.
Yeah.
He's so quick. That's why he is the most electrifying man in entertainment.
Facts.
In entertainment. Facts. Well, that's our thoughts on The Rock hosting Shark Week. Way to pull something out of nothing out of there, buddy. What do you guys think about The Rock hosting Shark Week? Are you guys looking forward to Shark Week? Are you going to be there with BC? Are you like the deep? Are you also playing with octopuses? I would love to know it. Comment down below. Hey, the show's gone rogue. This is what happens when I don't get enough sleep. This is what happens when I don't sleep enough. What's next on the docket? Is it time?
It's time for Love and Thunder.
Guys, BC is the love. I'm bringing the thunder. We are here to review it. There's going to be a spoiler discussion. We're going to talk about Thor, Love, and Thunder. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to see it. But if you haven't, you might as well just join us because we're going to spoil everything about this. We'll tell you everything that happens and all the things that we liked about it and all the things we didn't like about it. And that way you guys can agree with us. And then you can be toxic on other people's fan pages, letting them know how much we are toxic fans because you agree with us. Anyway. Okay, so Thor, Love, and Thunder. So we went to go see it the other day. I was going to go see it Thursday night, but I was very, very sick. Mm-hmm. So I went to go see it on Friday. Very disappointed I couldn't see it opening night. But the movie, I will say, I walked away from it feeling mixed bag. I'm a whole lot of mixed bag on this. Was the movie fun? Very much so. Was I expecting more? I think I would have been happier had I sacrificed a little bit of the fun and built up a little bit more on Gore the God Butcher. I love Gore the God Butcher in this.
Among other things.
Among other things. I thought Christian Bale, okay, let's talk about Christian Bale, please, because I wanted to start off with him.
Well, before we start breaking down things, let's just show a little bit. So Thor, in Thor: Love and Thunder, it's Thor's retirement. It's interrupted by a galactic killer known as Gore the God Butcher, who seeks to the extinction of the gods.
They know this. Yeah. Our fans know what this movie's about. Okay, I trust the fans. Gore the God Butcher is knocking off a bunch of people, and Thor and Korg are going to take him down.
And ex-girlfriend Jane.
And Jane. And King Valkyrie. And that's the story.
Yeah.
That's the story. And then there's a love triangle going on between Thor, Stormbreaker, and Mjolnir.
Yeah.
That's essentially it. But.
Okay, go on. Now, Gore the God Butcher.
Gore the God Butcher. I really love what Christian Bale did with him. I really love what Christian Bale did with Gore the God Butcher, especially a character that I don't think many people knew who he was going back like a year and a half ago. Many people knew who Gore the God Butcher was. I had some idea of Gore the God Butcher because I did read Original Sin.
Okay.
The Original Sin comic books, and I'm going to get into that at the end of this. But I really like what they did with Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher. I just wanted more.
Yeah.
I wanted more Gore the God Butcher. I felt that Christian brought a level of he was terrifying. He was creepy. I even liked what they did with the kids, about how he became the kids' nightmares, and I loved how he went into the thing and was like haunting them. I had one major issue with Gore. I didn't feel like there was any real tension between Gore and Thor.
No, not at all.
There was no tension. And I thought that took away tremendously from the movie. But what Christian did with what he was given, I thought he absolutely nailed it. I love how they opened up with him. I love how they peeled back his backstory. I love how they didn't shy away from how he was a God enthusiast, or he prayed to his gods, and even what they could do with the necromancer sword. I loved all that. I wish they could have done more with the necromancer sword, but I can't blame Marvel. That's a Sony thing, and fuck you, Sony, for that. Because I wanted the symbiote stuff involved. But I love Christian Bale as Gore. What did you think?
I thought he did a great job. He was very terrifying.
Yeah.
My issue is we didn't get to know him at all. So I did not care about him, and I did not care about his daughter.
Right.
You know, if we would have opened this movie with the first act, first 30 to 45 minutes, back and forth between Gore, you know, him really showing that he followed the way of the gods, and things just kept going wrong. And we keep watching him and his daughter getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Meanwhile, go against Thor and the Asgardians, or Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy, going on missions, actually seeing their missions and seeing Thor get more and more in shape throughout the whole first act.
Yeah, we and that was my thing I didn't like. We didn't see what Gore was doing. The whole time all that was going on, we saw what the Guardians were doing. We saw what Thor was doing. I wanted to see Gore actually kill more gods.
Yeah.
I don't think many gods he killed one god.
Yeah.
We saw him kill one.
They make an announcement where they're like, well, he's killed some lower level gods.
Yeah, it was I had the same frustration with this as I had with Multiverse of Madness. Mm-hmm. This is Gore the God Butcher, and that was Multiverse of Madness, and we spent 30 seconds, and that was your multiverse.
Yeah.
And Multiverse of Madness. When that one scene where you get to just go do all the multiverses, the paint multiverse, and then the you know see I'm talking about.
It's a line in Scream where they call the killer a serial killer, and the director, or not the director, but the cop is like, you got to knock off a few more to get that serial killer rank.
Right.
So he's God Butcher, but he only really got one, so he's not really a butcher. He just kind of, he stabbed one god. Yeah.
They should have had him kill Peter Dinklage's character.
Yes.
They should have had him kill a character that we know, a god that we are familiar with.
We should have killed a god from Moon Knight.
A Moon Knight god.
One of the Moon Knight gods should have been in this, and we should have killed them. And there should have been a fight. We should have seen that fight and seen Gore destroy him.
Right.
We should have watched, and we should have spent time with his daughter too early on.
Mm-hmm.
See how I think this should have gone. His first act, his daughter dies at the end of the first act. All right. And that's also when Thor leaves the Guardians. All right. Then the second act is Gore going through killing a bunch of gods while we deal with Thor trying to be retired and Jane going through chemo. Act 3 should have been Jane becomes Mighty Thor. Thor comes back. Now we have to go stop Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah. And because they went the other way with it, you never got that attachment to Gore is really that powerful. You never saw it. The reason why we knew Thanos was such a gangster when he showed up was because he bodied the Hulk real quick. He bodied the Hulk, and it allowed the audience to understand, oh shit, this guy's not to be messed with. Even when it came to Killmonger took out Ulysses Claw. He was taking out people. You got the chance to see that. this is why I can't put Gore the God Butcher above Thanos or a Killmonger as my favorite villain in the MCU, even though I believe Christian Bale had all the acting talent in the world. Christian Bale was pulling in some Heath Ledger stuff in
Yeah.
some of those scenes. And I don't know if it was because of the tone juggling, because I kind of felt that there was some parts in the movie where the tones weren't meshing very well. Taika's intense, comedic, hilarious dialogue, I don't think was really vibing with Christian Bale's sinister gore. I don't think that those vibes were mixing. But then also, I couldn't really get a chance to to really sense Gore the God Butcher's power and the strength, and he's so deadly. In the trailer, we saw that comic panel. We saw the panel where Gore is standing there with Korg, and he's seeing the big behemoth, the white behemoth in the snow, which is taken directly from the comic panel.
Yeah.
You know, Thor knows this creature. It would have been awesome to see Gore kill him.
Yeah.
It would have been awesome to see Gore knock out a Celestial. It would have been awesome to see Gore do something like that, but we didn't, and now it left us wondering, what if? You know?
And that's that's why it's the biggest issue, is just not being able to connect with that character. And the same thing, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the end shows his daughter, with Thor now, Love and Thunder, which I think is awesome. But I didn't care because I didn't know his daughter.
Right.
He didn't say a single word the entire movie until the very, very end.
And it left more questions for me because who is this daughter? Is this daughter really Christian Bale's daughter, or is she a person who looks like Christian Bale's daughter because it looks like she has the powers of eternity when I don't think the daughter had the powers of eternity before? It, to me, just brought more questions than answers because we didn't have – and at the same time, it's like Thor is just, I'll raise him. And Uncle Thor, he's Uncle Thor now.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. If we would have opened up the movie getting to know the girl along with Gore, by the end of this, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
And there could have been some kind of meeting between Thor and Gore before he becomes the God Butcher and he meets the girl. And that way there is a connection later on. And it makes sense for why why Thor is going to stay and take care of this girl, you know? And then I feel like we didn't get a chance to meet any of them. And while that scene with the kids was really cool, where he gives them powers, it's kind of just fan service. It was just a cool scene that I didn't care about. And that's what a lot of this was, why it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's a collection of cool scenes, but it doesn't make for a good story.
Right. And I felt that even that scene in particular, when Thor gave his power to the kids, if I was a kid watching that, I would be all for it. That was one of the coolest scenes. If I was a kid, that's dope. That's dope. But this brings up a lot of questions now. When did Thor have this ability? Because it feels like if he had this ability the whole time, shouldn't he have done that with the Wakandan warriors when Thanos was attacking?
Yes and no. One, we think it actually has to do more with the fact that he's giving them some of Zeus's power too, because their lightning was all yellow as opposed to his white lightning. So the thought is that it has something more to do with Zeus's lightning bolt rather than Thor's power. And also, it goes to the fact that you look at the Avengers. The Avengers couldn't all lift Thor's hammer, and the Avengers are probably all more worthy than, anyone in Wakanda other than T'Challa, because they're the Avengers. So if only Cap was the only worthy one. And then it looks at these kids, they're kids. They're probably worthy because they're kids. That's the kids are worthy. Kids are good natured.
I love that.
That's the thought of that scene. So I understood why he was able to do it to them and no one else. That's why I'm okay with it. And that we've never seen it before, because there weren't no kids fighting Thanos back then.
Well, they could have been had he done this 5 years ago.
That's true.
So that was my point. Speaking about the kids, I do want to point some things out real quick about those kids. I loved the Axel character. I thought that was cool how they brought him in. He's Heimdall's son. Which one, Heimdall? When did you have a?
Yeah, when was Heimdall out there getting getting the booty? When
was he? Probably when he started growing his dreads out.
Probably
because he came in full flock.
Yeah,
like you see the dreads, they on straight lock mode. But he was doing his. It was cool to see Idris back, but I did like his kid because now the kid's training with Sif. There was a lot of cool things in there, and you're right, it was more like a collection of things.
That's another thing. Sif, violently underutilized.
I don't think Taika Waititi really personally cares about Lady Sif and the Warriors 3.
I cannot believe they made I wrote an article about how they made a big deal about how Lady Sif had landed in Australia to film her Thor Love and Thunder. And I was like, yes, Lady Sif is back. And that was it. They flew her to Australia for that.
You mean for the one scene that they shot? Yeah, that was pretty. I like seeing Lady Sif back in there. I mean, I
liked more of her.
Yeah, but there's so much going on in this movie. I don't know where you would put her. But I thought what she did was well. I did like the joke, like I want to die for Valhalla. And he's like, you can't.
Yeah, the battle's over and you're still alive.
That was funny. There was a lot of jokes in that one. That one worked for me. But it was nice to see Lady Sif back. I'm glad that he didn't kill Lady Sif, like he did the other ones. Because I do like Lady Sif. I thought she's great. And you could.
It does need to be an ongoing thing though, that she's trying to die in battle and she just loses a limb or something. She just
won't ever die.
Yeah.
No, that'll be funny.
Okay. I do want to ask you though. Thor Ragnarok was such a departure from the Thor character. They complete 180 here, and went a completely different direction with him. And
I hate this. I hate this.
It worked on every level in Ragnarok.
Yes.
They dialed that comedy up to 11 in this.
I'm upset. Okay.
I want to see if you felt the same way as that, because I felt that everything in this movie, every single scene, every moment, every line was played for a gag.
Yeah, and what makes me upset.
It was a bad version of Deadpool.
I can see that. It felt like as I've been watching a lot of our favorite personalities on the internet review movies, and that's not why we're doing this. I learned a long time ago, you don't change the character for the actor. Mm-hmm. You have the actor fit the character. And I know Chris Hemsworth is a very funny guy. He had moments of it that shined beautifully in Thor. I thought Thor had a really good pace of comedy. And then I liked the comedy in Thor Ragnarok. It feels like they're turning Thor more into Chris Hemsworth than Chris Hemsworth really being Thor. Yeah. Because when you read the Thor comics and you read, even if you go to Infinity War,
it's a dry humor.
It's a dry humor. He's a very serious.
The humor comes from him being a fish out of water.
Right. But he's a very smart figure in battle. He's a commander on the battlefield. And what they're kind of making him now is kind of like Po from Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
Where he's kind of like, yeah, he's super powerful, but it's more gift than talent. Like, no, he's actually a very sophisticated tactician on the battlefield.
Yes.
He's very smart. Thor is a very smart god. And I do like the fish out of water jokes. It works for Drax. It works for Thor. But they're kind of doing the Drax thing to the nth degree now. They're just cranking up the jokes. And now that he's becoming the butt of the joke, I don't like that. Because Thor has more agency. He has more... there's more to him than just being the bumbling idiot. He is going to be the king of Asgard one day, or he was supposed to be the king of Asgard, not this parody. And it felt like a parody. Mm-hmm. It felt very much like a parody of Thor. And I don't know. Like I talked to my dad a lot about these things. He's a big Thor guy. Thor's his favorite hero. I don't know if he's gonna like this Thor that's just the butt of the joke, because it kind of made me a little upset that, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to.
And like not only that, like it goes to the Thor's smart, and we saw in Thor: The Dark World when he keeps going through the portals into different places. When he didn't have Mjolnir, he just called it, and Mjolnir came back to him. Right. No matter where he was in the universe, Mjolnir would stop its direction and go back to whatever direction it needs to get back to Thor. Stormbreaker has the same thing with it. It can always come to him. So when he takes the Bifrost and Gore, takes Stormbreaker, when Thor lands, why didn't he immediately just go, and call for Stormbreaker?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
That really bothered me that he didn't just, why would he not just call it? Yeah. And like another thing, I want to ask you about this, and this is where the comedy, overdoes things. Like, okay, Thor being the goofy person, that's one thing. Okay. I can get over it. But the comedy spread through everything else too. When Korg dies, I sat up. I was emotional. I was drawn into that. And then it was just played for a gag.
Yeah.
And I was sucked completely out of the movie. All the emotion of the movie left right then and there. And I no longer worried or cared about anything. So when Jane dies at the end, I'm just like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, probably I can see that. Again. When Korg died, it hit me hard. It hit me very hard. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think they should have killed him.
They should have killed him. Because then you would have known, like, oh, Zeus is that guy, right? But yeah, the way that they just kind of, oh, nope, it just turns out we as long as our face is intact and our mouth is talking is the only thing that's alive. Like, okay, Taika, are we just, is this all Korg is, right? And I didn't like that. But I do like Korg. I do like Korg.
I love Korg. But also Korg raises some canon questions now too.
About what happened to old boy back in Thor: The Dark World? Or
No. Oh, my two dads, they went into the rocks and they created me. Cool. What happened to your mom and her boyfriend that you hate? They came to your revolution. So you have a mom and two
because in this movie they make it seem like all of Korg's people are male.
Yeah.
Right?
But he said my two dads. So now I'm confused. And I don't care either way. Look, the Dwayne The Rock joke. Good job. I loved it. I lost my shit in theater. Loved it. But
it took me another hour to realize that joke.
Are you shitting?
It didn't. I was
as soon as he goes, yeah, this is my new guy, Dwayne, and I go, Dwayne The Rock.
It was the mustache. The mustache took me out, and I was like, who is he supposed to be? And then it was Lindsay, like Dwayne the Rock, and I felt so dumb. Like I was supposed to catch that. That joke was meant for me. That was a layup of layups for me, and I let everyone down. But I did like the joke. Korg was still fine. But yeah, that would took me out of it. I predicted
lack of Valkyrie took me out of it.
Well, but even before then, I was going to say I predicted everything in this movie.
Yeah.
In the first 10, 15 minutes. I predicted. Okay, so in the first 10, 15 minutes, here were my predictions, and these are things I told Lindsay. Natalie Portman's going to die. Thor's going to end up with the kid.
Oh wow! I didn't think anything about the kid at all.
Because the minute Thor was looking at that baby, early on, he looked at a baby and he was like, oh, I've always wanted, me and Jane may have had a baby or something. And then later on, they were, I think, what's her face? Jane Foster's friend. I can't remember her name.
Darcy. Also underutilized.
But she brings up having Thor babies. And I was like, oh, okay. So Jane's gonna. I thought Jane was gonna end up pregnant, but then I was like, Jane's also gonna die, because the way they were talking about Valhalla and gold pixie dust, right up front. They talked about it too much. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, they're laying the pathway because you knew that my theory going into this was the big Marvel MCU Phase 4 thing has to do with afterlives. I have been talking to you about it. Remember I kept saying purple, purple, purple?
Yep.
And I was like, it has something to do with the afterlife. So the minute they said Valhalla, I was glued in. And then they had the 3 Valhalla jokes off the rip.
And we haven't, and then they show us Valhalla, and so now we still get to see Jane and
Yep.
Heimdall. Oh
we
my
get
god!
to, not just Jane and Heimdall, every one of them. Odin is up for play.
I highly doubt we'll see Odin again, because I do know that
Loki.
Hopkins did not like. But did Loki get to go to Valhalla?
He died in battle. He died in battle doing something good, trying to kill Thanos.
That's right. Yeah.
He died.
Okay.
He technically died in battle. We never technically saw Heimdall get force ghosted away.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. This whole thing about now the only one I don't think we will see is Hela, because I think Hela
is in hell.
Is in hell, right?
See, I don't think
other afterlife.
Odin. I don't think we see Odin because I don't think Anthony Hopkins wants to do it.
I don't know. I don't know
because he's been very open about how he didn't really like doing the movies. But
has he? I never heard that before.
Well, because there was a quote from him on the first set of Thor when they're both standing there in their Asgardian guard. And he apparently looks at Hemsworth and goes, "We're very far from acting now, aren't we?"
Oh, that's what he said?
Yeah.
I would like to see Odin back, but I think you're right.
But then again, he did do a Transformers movie, so who knows? Maybe he'll do it.
He did the transfer. He just does. Anthony Hopkins just does what he wants. And you don't know. Maybe he does. I think if they always bring up the right thing, someone will always end up coming back. Because I didn't think we was going to see Eric Selvig either, but he showed up. But no, I mean, it just opens up all of this. But I definitely think now that's where we're going, which I like. I like the fact that we know now, okay, it has something to do with afterlives. At this point, that's my stamp. That's what the MCU is. Afterlives.
But let me ask you this. Do you think they have to do with Secret Wars too? Somehow the afterlife is going to play a point into Secret Wars.
Maybe, possibly. I don't know. We could be off about Secret Wars, but I definitely feel like at this point, Phase 4 is gods and afterlives. If you look at all the things that we have been seeing, it's gods, and except for like the Shang-Chi stuff. I don't know where you would classify that.
Well, Shang-Chi has a whole nother universe in it as well, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know, man,
a micro universe that was calling to Shang-Chi's father. So
yeah, it's weird. But
all right. So
I definitely think we know where we're going.
I do, and we got to wrap up here pretty quickly. But okay, I do, we have been sitting here bashing on this, and it probably sounds like we hated the movie, but I do say I enjoyed it. I had fun.
I love the goats.
I love the goats
every single time. Every single time that those goats were fucking squealing and screaming, I laughed. Every single time.
I loved Natalie Portman's chemistry with Chris Hemsworth this game.
I did too. I definitely liked
so well. And plus the scenes when they're just walking together. And normally in scenes that Thor's in, you're locked on the Thor because he's massive. You want to look at him. When Natalie Portman's on screen,
she caught.
I could not take my eyes off of her. She was jacked. She looked like a god herself.
Natalie Portman showed up.
Oh yeah,
she showed up
and showed out.
She showed up this time
and I loved that she was a novice superhero.
Yeah, that was cool too. Like
trying to come up with catchphrases.
What did she say? Taste the rainbow or something? I don't know. I was like, okay, that's great. But no, I love what they did with Mighty Thor. I loved how they utilized her in this because now the whole original sin piece, it ties into how Thor lost the hammer to begin with.
Yes.
Right. So
that moment when she shoots the hammer and it breaks into pieces.
That was cool.
And then she takes the hilt and stabs one of the monsters. I lost it.
I thought that was
Lost it
awesome.
in the theater.
Okay, so we have to give our review on this, and I know we had to cut this one short. We took a lot of time.
Before we go, there's one more question I want to ask you, and I know we're running late, and I'm the one that got to go, but I want to know Hercules and Zeus.
Whoo, boy, I'm in. The minute they showed, that was my third prediction. In the beginning, I told Lindsay, we got Zeus. We're going to Olympia, because at first I thought it was Olympia. We're going to get Hercules.
Also, the most talk of an orgy in a Disney movie I've ever seen in my life.
They said that shit like 8 times. I'm like, did they put this in after Herogasm? But I loved who they picked for Brett Goldstein. Is that his name?
Do you know him? I looked him up. The only thing he's been in, that I even know of is Ted Lasso.
Yep, that's all you need to watch. He's the perfect guy. He's the perfect guy. No joke. When they panned up and he was Hercules, I looked at Lindsay and she knew I was thinking about Hercules. She's also seen Ted Lasso. This is the guy. This is the best casting. This is one of those Kevin Feige doesn't need no one's goddamn input.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he's doing with this character. Perfect casting. Perfect. Guys, this guy's going to crush it. You need to watch Ted Lasso.
All right, I'm excited to hear that.
Before we leave, let's give our reviews real quick. Okay, how many Gucci's? Because I'm going to start doing this. We're going to put this in Gucci's.
We're going to put it in Gucci's. Why are we going to do it in Gucci? Because we used to be the Gucci-verse?
Because it used to be the Gucci-verse. And Canna Gucci talked to me this morning about Bobby Gucci. So I said, today I'm going to rank this on how many Gucci's. I'm going to give Thor Love and Thunder 3.5 Gucci's out of 5.
That's exactly what I was thinking. 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go watch it. I did have a lot of fun, but this was my least favorite. Of the MCU Phase 4 movies, I think it's Spider-Man, Shang-Chi.
Spider-Man, Shang-Chi.
Multiverse.
You go multiverse.
Then Thor. And then Eternals. I'm sorry. Eternals, then Black Widow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. See, I would go Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, Black Widow, Multiverse, Thor. Actually, Eternals is growing a little on me. I rewatched it before Thor Love and Thunder, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more the second time watching it fully. So
no, I did enjoy.
I think now I get mad at Eternals just because they killed Gilgamesh.
Yeah, that's also. I wanted to see more. I think I wanted to see more Fastos.
I think they should have let Athena sacrifice herself for Gilgamesh
instead of
because I think Gilgamesh. Yeah, instead of Gilgamesh sacrificing for Athena, because Gilgamesh was a more fun character to be with than Angelina Jolie's character is.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. So but that's how we rate it. Like I said, I like what and by the way, I did like what Thor did with his interactions with Jane. I know we talked about the bumbling idiot thing, but it worked when he was with Jane because I
did not like all the hammer stuff, the back and forth.
It got a little much for me, but all in all, fun film. Very kid friendly. I love how everyone had their kids in it. I think all the kids that got abducted were all of their kids. Like I think it was Jane Foster's kid.
Oh really?
Thor's kids. Christian Bale. Because they said all 3 of Thor's kids were in it.
Yeah, his boys played him running when he was growing.
Best performance, real quick.
And Love was Thor.
Yes,
best performance in this.
Yes.
I got to go to Natalie Portman because I think Natalie Portman did absolutely incredible in this. Awesome. This was the best she's been in the MCU. And I like her in the first Thor film. She kind of sleepwalked through Dark World. I loved her in the first Thor film, and I think she's absolutely incredible in this.
I like Natalie Portman a lot. She's coming in at number 3 for me. Number 2 is Christian Bale.
Okay. I just don't think they gave him enough. That's why I can't put him up there, because he didn't have enough for me to really care.
Right. My number 1 favorite performance, Matt Damon.
Okay. Yeah, Matt Damon killed it.
Matt Damon crushed it.
Absolutely killed it.
Matt Damon crushed it. He did his thing. Guys, what did you guys think about Thor: Love and Thunder? Did you guys love it? We would love to hear what you guys would rate this movie. How do you guys rank it along the MCU films? Did you guys enjoy? Comment down below and let us know your thoughts as we get up out of here, guys. This has been the Lando Project. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and share. BC, where can the folks find you at home?
Oh, you can always find me on all the social medias, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, at The Grind Calls. And don't forget to check out thegrindcalls.com for all your pop culture positivity. We're answering the call to celebrate the things you love. And guys, my birthday's coming up soon. So if you go to my Instagram, there's a birthday list if you want to send me presents, because I love presents.
Well, guys, we're getting up out of here. We'll see you guys next time on the episode of the Lando Project. This has been fun, and as always, finger guns.